Hello bookworms, welcome back to my channel and to another book review, and this time I'm back with another Ruth Ware book. This is her 5th book that I've read and I'm making my way through her entire bibliography. Some of her books I found great, some less. Now let's see how this one was. One by One takes place in a private ski resort which accommodates the crew behind a hot new app on their team retreat, as well as the 2 employees of the resort. But not everyone is equally excited to be there, and soon tragedy strikes, and due to an avalanche, they can't escape. So they have to stay there and survive, and not just the harsh weather conditions. And I forgot to tell you, the book starts with a news report that informs us that not all of them will make it out alive. So this was a fun thriller, even though throughout reading it my opinion on it shifted a couple of times. It did take a bit of a different turn toward the end, which I did not like, but I can generally say that this one is one of Ruth Ware's better books. I had a lot of fun with it and finished it really quickly. At the time of reading it, I really needed a lightweight, fun, fast-paced thriller, and this was exactly what this book was. Also, unlike some other modern thrillers, this one actually had a detective element to it, which I loved. It's not like, we know something bad is going to happen, we'll just have to wait until we find out about it. Instead, something bad happens about halfway through the book, and we and the characters try to find out the truth behind it. One of the things I loved most about this book was the fact that it was actually based on a different classic thriller that I absolutely love, and no, I won't tell you which one it was, but right from the start I was wondering if it will be a modern version of that classic, and as I realized that this is where the plot goes, I was ecstatic. But then I thought, wait, will the solution be the same? I mean, The Turn of the Key was a modern version of The Turn of the Screw with a different ending. But I won't tell you that either. And if by listening to my plot description you want to guess which classic it's based on, let me know in the comment section, but be careful about spoilers, especially if you read both this book and the other one. Another really great thing to read in any book, but I feel lacking specifically in thrillers, is good characters. Now, not all characters in this book were created equal, but I do want to point out, first, the attempt to have different types of people who would react differently in dangerous situations. And secondly, the fact that they weren't a bunch of idiots you wish would just die by the end of it. I loved how they reacted to the situation, how some tried to calm others down, some pulled the "I'm too rich for this," and others looked for a practical solution. Also, as a veteran of detective fiction, I always try to activate my gray cells, and I loved that pretty much every time I reached a conclusion about the mystery, at least one other character did as well. However, speaking of characters, this also brings me to the negative part of the video. I mentioned not all characters were created equal, and indeed, some of them were flashed out, and others not at all. The book was indeed fun, but not very sophisticated, and I felt some of the characters were stereotypical and one-dimensional, which is a shame. If you decide to have 10 different characters in your book, not all of them have to take central stage, but you have to give them enough personality in order for the readers to be able to differentiate between them. One big negative I have here is also my great pet peeve. Guys, we have 2 narrators. I usually dislike those, and here it really didn't work. One narrator is Liz, who used to be a part of this startup and is now a shareholder, and the other is Erin, who works at the ski resort. Now, I get the idea of having one narrator on the inside and one on the outside for perspective, but I don't think first person works for thrillers. We shouldn't be able to see too much into people's inner monologues, and I think if it weren't for it, I probably wouldn't have been able to solve the mystery so easily because I did. Also, having a scene written in first person from one person's point of view and then stopping and continuing the scene from the other person's perspective like that is stupid. It feels like cheap thrills and not organic ones. The writing just wasn't flowing. Jesus, people, just write general third person. This first person is not benefiting the story, and in third person, you can always write what the characters thought or felt. This is my new campaign. Stop multiple narrators in thrillers. Moving on, one strange thing about the book was its structure. The pacing was fun and great, but I would have actually structured it differently. We get a really long intro, and it takes a long time until the real mystery starts, but only then do we start to learn a little bit more about the characters. So what was the intro for? Either give us enough information then, or make the first part shorter. Then in the last third, there is a big reveal that makes the book take a turn that slightly changes the genre, and I really didn't like it. Maybe it's just my personal taste, but I really love the book's confined detective thrillers so far, and that reveal and the action scene that followed it, in my opinion, diminished the book's fun. But eventually everything comes down to one big issue, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I felt that this book tried to be modern and fashionable, and it was to its detriment. Now, what do I mean by that? I've been reading thrillers for years, and I also read older books, and of course things change with the times, this is normal, but in recent years I noticed this trend of thrillers that have some very specific tropes that I feel are the new fashionable tropes that don't work for me. Personally, okay, to each his own, but I also feel that didn't work for this book specifically. The two narrators trope, for example, you see it all the time in modern thrillers, and I really don't understand why every single book has to do it. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it adds to the thrills, but not always. Other tropes that I was really sick and tired of were very over-the-nose foreshadowing, the self-loathing, depressed protagonist hinting non-stop at their traumatic past, etc. It's like someone decided that this is what we're doing now, and every single thriller from the past, I don't know, decade follows exactly the same pattern. Yes, this is thrillers for you, trying to surprise you with a twist and at the same time feeling exactly the same as every other book you've read this year. But we still love them. I've read a million of Agatha Christie's books, and yes, even her books feel repetitive after a while. See my previous video. So let's conclude. I had a lot of fun with One by One. When I realized on what it's based on, I was so happy. It really mostly felt like a proper detective thriller. Unfortunately, the last third was less good. It turned out from a classic Agatha Christie to Kenneth Branagh's version of it, you know? But if you're looking for a cool thriller, for something to pass the time, or you're like me and you love confined thrillers where everything happens in the same space, then go check it out. And that was my review on One by One by Ruth Ware. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to my channel for more bookish video, and leave me a comment down below and let me know what is your favorite confined thriller. Again, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.